Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel and Championship predictions for Week 9. Yeah, we're already at Week 9. Wrexham versus Birmingham on Friday night, and Wrexham are in 15th and Birmingham are in 11th. Just two draws for Birmingham, which is really, really good. They are going for the wins. They're not just sort of packing the bus at the back and thinking, let's just try for a mid-table position, and a good draw is worth everything if you're trying to get into that mid-table position. Wrexham win, lose, win, draw last time out against Leicester City. Now this game was really one-sided all the way along. One shot each, one goal each, 1-1. One shot each on target and one goal each. Really is the story of the day. Leicester City, a lot better for their money. They really did play some stonkingly good football, some really good passing, some really good possession, and the ability to just make sure that Wrexham couldn't get near the ball. But when they did, Wrexham did do really well. One shot on target, one in the net, same as Leicester. But there again, Leicester did let loose an awful lot more times than Wrexham did, just not on target. A lot blocked as well, so Wrexham had a lot more people behind the ball. In front of the ball, if you like, when Leicester City shot, so they couldn't quite get through the crowd. So it was an interesting game. Leicester City will be kicking themselves. 1-1 there. Birmingham City lose, win, lose, draw. And the wheels seem to have fallen off the bus lately. Do they settle for a mid-table position? I've seen a few channels thinking exactly that. Do they not go straight for a top six? Do they get happy with a mid-table? This side can actually play some decent top half football. I think a top half position for me would be a win. However, I'd say never give up on your hopes and dreams. You can't as a fan, can you? Do we make do with? No. Whatever the make do with is, you always have to try and think that your team is better than what it is. You always have to give them a little bit of a push and a little bit of a shove. Birmingham City last time out, Sheffield Wednesday. Birmingham 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2. 90 plus 9 minutes for Birmingham to get that goal. And Birmingham really, they absolutely trounced Sheffield Wednesday. They were shooting ad hoc a hell of a lot more times. Their passing was absolutely brilliant, and really precise, and their play was really good. But Sheffield Wednesday managed to take them on the break, and that man, they have probably, we'll not say it's a one-man band. There's 2 or 3 people in that team that play their hearts out, and of course Bannon is one of them, and they just managed to rip through certain parts of Birmingham rather too easy. Birmingham 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2. You wouldn't have guessed that, would you, before the game? What are you all saying? Wrexham Birmingham 1-1, 2-0, 3-2, 2-0, 1-1. I can see this Wrexham side. It's a repeat of last year in League One, isn't it? I can see this Wrexham side. It's been built in a similar fashion for the Championship as Birmingham has for a top half, top 6 finish. That's what they've both wanted. So I can see these, and I can see the play over the last few games as being one of, if we can't win it, let's just make sure we draw it. For Wrexham, Birmingham isn't, and that's the only difference I can see. I'm actually going to go Wrexham 1, Birmingham 1, and we'll move to Blackburn versus Stoke. So we go on now to the Saturday games, and Blackburn versus Stoke City. It's Blackburn in 22nd, Stoke City in 3rd. But Blackburn haven't drawn any games so far, which is quite interesting. Blackburn lose, win, lose last time out against Swansea City. Blackburn 1, Swansea City 2. 2. Blackburn really did. They'll be walking away from this one basically thinking, how the hell did we not win it? Great football, but there was great passing on both sides. Both sides had some really good passing. It was one for a connoisseur, one for somebody who didn't support either team really. This was a good game. I think Blackburn realistically they did more, and they were willing to make a few shots from positions where Swansea City wouldn't have laid one off. Blackburn should really, for me, have won this game. But they ended up losing it, and purely by the fact that Swansea were more clinical when those 4 shots that they had on target, 2 in the net, and basically that's it. So what are you saying for the Stoke City? I think you're all thinking that Stoke City are going to be going to be at the wrong end of this one, even though Stoke City are actually in 3rd. Lose, win, lose, draw, and that's the reason why you're all thinking that. Borough last time out, though, we must remember Borough can play some stonkingly good football. Borough 0, Stoke 0. I think Stoke City, although they've been showing they can play some good football and have a good defence, in this game Stoke City, they stopped Borough from getting too many shots at a clear target, which was good, which is why it was Borough 0. Stoke City though 0. They had plenty of shots here. They had plenty of them on target. They just couldn't get enough power, enough pace, or enough angle to get it in the net. So not quite as clinical and as technically brilliant as some of those sides around them. And I can see why you're thinking that. Blackburn 0-2, 0-1, 2-1, 0-1. So you're not really going hell for leather with a Stoke City win. I can see why you're not thinking that, because most people would look at the league and think 3-0, 4-0. And you're not. You're all thinking 1, at the most 2 goals. I'm going to go with Blackburn 0, Stoke City 1. I think that Stoke do have it here. Will probably have that just enough skill to beat the Blackburn side, as it is at the minute. Hull City vs Sheffield United next, and Hull City are in 18th. Sheffield United rock bottom in 24th. They will be 24th by the end of the day, unless there's a few high scoring defeats for Wednesday and a big win for Sheffield United. Hull City lose, draw, win, lose, draw, and then last time out was 2-2 against Preston. Preston have been doing really well, and I've been saying, I said they were going to beat Leicester, they did, and I kept saying they were going to win, and they didn't, and they started to play a little bit, I don't know, it seems to be just greatly, they're still technical in front of goal, and they're still getting the shot. It's just that that defence seems to be a little bit rocky. Please do tell me why. You do subscribe and give me a comment. Hull City here, just managed to outpass Preston, and perhaps that's what's changed here. Preston's ability to have the technicality of their passing, the ability to just do quick 1-2s and pass it around the park and keep possession, hasn't been in there in the last few games, and that's for me has been the difference for this Preston side. So Hull City managed to make the most of it, and they did well against a side that weren't passing brilliantly, and that's where they got their 2 goals from, because we know Preston can score, and I don't think that Hull City's defence was at fault for that. I think that it's just that we know Preston can have some really good skill up front. So 2 ends to that game. Certainly, Sheffield United lose, win, lose, and obviously I think Chris Wilder's sending off at half-time really did make a difference here. Sheffield United should have won this one, should have at least drawn it. They were playing well. There were some dreadful decisions by the referee, and And I'm a neutral, so I'm not being biased to them. I'm a Rotherham fan, so certainly wouldn't be, would I? Southampton, though, when they have a clear shot on goal, certainly in this game, they made sure it counted, and that was where it came from. Southampton won via just dogged determination to get it in the right position, in the right slot where they could make an absolute cracking shot, and that's why they won it. So Sheffield United side that have actually started to make shots. I mean, up to now it's like been 0 shots on target, 0 shots on target. In this game they had 3 shots on target, 8 shots in total. They are actually starting to shoot, which is all down to Chris Wilder. Absolutely. Is not going to be there here. Is not going to be there at this game. Hull City, Sheffield United. Will it make a difference? I fear it will. I would be going for a Sheffield United win. I think Chris Wilder being off there may make a big difference. What do you say? 1-2, 1-3, 2-1, 2-1, 2-2, 1-2. I can see exactly where you're coming from. That's why I'm going to sit on the fence. Hull City 2, Sheffield United 2. We move on to the next game, which is Sheffield Wednesday versus Coventry. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, playing pretty poorly at the beginning, and then Bannon managed to gel certain players, and he's been an absolute stalwart, isn't he? And even when they didn't get paid the last game out midweek, they still managed to get that decent draw. Lose, win, draw for Sheffield Wednesday. Birmingham 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2 the last time out. And like I said, Birmingham really be wondering why the hell did they not get a win here. Sheffield United just managed to park that bus. 71% possession to Birmingham. It really was all Birmingham. But when Sheffield Wednesday had the ball, taking them on the break was the thing, and my God, it worked. Sheffield Wednesday, I think they deserved this draw, to be quite honest. And coming from me, a Rotherham fan, believing me, that hurts. Sheffield Wednesday deserved the 1 point, absolutely. And I dare say, had they actually gone on for another 90 minutes, they could have actually won it. But I think that might have been a bit insane. Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry. Coventry, lose, draw, win. And this Coventry side have been really, really good, haven't they? They're in second, but I think they're in second. They've not lost a game yet, but they've drawn 4. So win 4, drawn 4. And if you look at the last 5, it's lose, draw, win. The last 5 games, 3 draws in those last 5 games. So 3 of their last 4. 3 of their 4 draws have been in the last 5 games. So what's happened? Birmingham win 2 games ago, 3-0, and a Millwall win 4-0 last time out. So that's 7 goals in 2 games for this Coventry outfit. And we know they can score, don't we? But actually, when you look at the game, Millwall-Coventry, they took Millwall on the break, and that's it. This game, if you take those moments of brilliance from Coventry, which you can't really, but if you could, this was a 0-0. This was a 1-1 game. It was a draw, but it certainly wouldn't have been a 4-0. It didn't look like. In fact, Millwall had more of the ball. They were passing. They're passing constantly, and it was brilliant passing and really good. And they were really. It was a joy to watch. But they lost 4-0, and you think, how did they do it? Because Coventry just happened to take a couple of, more than a couple of really brilliant moments, and they showed what they can do. My God, if they could do that for the full 90 minutes and control the game, ouch. So this is a side that can do absolute wonders. So what have we got? Sheffield Wednesday versus Coventry, 1-3, 0-3, 0-3, 0-2, 1-2. Do I think Sheffield Wednesday? I think Sheffield Wednesday can prove they can take the best of teams for a goal. Absolutely. I think it's going to be Sheffield Wednesday 1, Coventry 3, and we'll move on. It may even be Coventry 5, but I think Sheffield Wednesday will still score. It goes to Bristol City versus QPR, and we're trying to make it nice quick for you. Do subscribe, and we can keep on giving you more. Bristol City are in 5th, and QPR in 10th. Bristol City lose, win, win, lose, draw, draw. Ipswich last time out. Bristol City won, Ipswich won. This game, in short, was really all Ipswich. Great passing, lots of it. Controlled the game. Control of the game was really all in Ipswich's hands. Bristol City not really controlling it, which is strange because they were at home. When they did have the ball and when they did manage to get into the opposition's half, they tended to shoot a little bit too early. But, on the day, 3 shots each on target, 1-1. I suppose it was the rightful score, but if anybody was upset about just drawing it, it would be the Ipswich supporters. QPR lose, win, 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 draw, draw again. So the last two, both these teams have drawn their last 2 games. QPR 0, Oxford 0. Oxford had no shots on target, just 9 in the entire game, and only 2 of them blocked as well. So QPR did a really brilliant defensive job here. But again, so did Oxford. At some point, I'm thinking this was destined for a 0-0 because they both did a really good defensive job. Whenever we were looking at it, into the box, defence, boom, into the box, defence, and you're thinking, this isn't going to go very well, is it? QPR did have shots, absolutely. 3 or 4 blocked and just 1 on target. 13 shots in total. They really should have nicked at least a goal, at least 1 goal here. Again, this one would have been this one probably would have been the other way around. So QPR should have just about nicked it. What are you all saying with Bristol City versus QPR? 2-1, 3-2, 3-1 and 0-1. Now, no, I'm sort of tempted to go with 2-1 to QPR because they do seem it's them that should have, if anybody, won that last game. However, I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to the Bristol fans being at home, Bristol City fans, and I go Bristol City 2, QPR 1, but that could be the opposite way round. Derby County versus Southampton next, and we shall look at that one. Derby County in 20th with 4 draws against Southampton in 14th, and again 4 draws, and you're starting to think, is there something to do here? Well, Derby County lose, draw, win, lose, draw, draw. Last time out against Charlton, Derby 1, Charlton 1. Derby were slightly better for me in this game. Charlton didn't have that usual clinical edge, whereas Derby did. We know Derby can score, but they didn't really get enough of those shots on target for me. A little bit haphazard. Charlton they made slightly less shots, but they were slightly more accurate with those shots. I think 1-1 was probably the right result. Southampton last time out, really, Chris Wilder was right. He got a red card, and I think that made a lot of difference for Sheffield United in the second half. But I think he was right. There was a few iffy decisions going on that pitch. And as a neutral, I wouldn't be supporting either a Sheffield team, believe me, being a Rotherham fan. But he was right. There were some really iffy decisions in the entire championship, I think, and in League One. Sheffield United, well, they did well up to the halfway. I think that they certainly had the run of the green. They were the better team. In the second half, though, without him there, it just seemed to go to pot. But even then, I think that this game was pretty well even all the way through. I can't see why this was realistically not a draw. A 2-2 draw or even a 1-1 draw would for me have been about right. I think Sheffield United were pretty much robbed on this one. However, Southampton get the win 1-2. And if you think about it like that, then it becomes a little bit more jaded in the last 4 games, because if you think of that as a draw, then that's both sides with a lose, draw finish in the last 3. What are you thinking? 1-2, 1-3, 1-1, 0-1, 1-1. I'm going to go with Derby County 1, Southampton 1. And we'll move on to the next one, which is Millwall versus West Brom. Millwall have been an up and down side, haven't they? They've been playing really well, and then they've done a little bit of a jaded patch in there. West Brom 4th, Millwall 11th. Now, we're obviously going to be thinking, West Brom must be the favourites here, but Millwall lose, draw, win, draw, lose. Look, we have to look at that Coventry game really carefully. Millwall 0, Coventry 4. But it wasn't like that. I mean, looking at it, I just couldn't see that Coventry they weren't on top. They didn't have all the ball. In fact, they only had 37% of the possession, and it looks like that when you watch the replay. They didn't actually have as much possession as they should do for a 4-0 win, surely. They had less shots. They had about the same amount of shots on target. And Millwall actually passed it better and more often and kept the ball an awful lot more. 63% possession to Millwall. It's just a moments of brilliance that took this Coventry side to win by 4-0. Just happened to choose the right moment to attack in the right position. Run of the green, bang, 4-0. Did they deserve to lose 4-0, Millwall? Absolutely not. But Coventry fans, it doesn't take away the fact that the Coventry team were brilliant in those positions. What the hell would they do if they had 90 minutes playing like that all the way through? Apart from being knackered, it would be a brilliant game. And I mean, how many could they win by? 9, 10? And I'm not kidding. If you play like that all the way through the game, Jesus. So Millwall versus West Brom. West Brom, draw, win, lose, draw, win. And they won against the Norwich side. And actually, Norwich played... I've been saying that Norwich have been playing really boring. Norwich in this game played absolutely brilliantly. A superb, brilliant... their passing was stupendous. The first time ever this season I've seen them play really good passing football, really good flowing football, taking control of the game, having a huge amount of shots. And of those shots, there were several on target this time, which we also haven't seen. But they scored none of them. How? Well, it was the West Brom goalkeeper and the West Brom defence. Absolutely brilliant. Well, mainly the West Brom goalkeeper. West Brom, though, 1 shot on target, 1 in the net, and they come away with a win. We're talking West Brom. This was just a run of the game. 1 shot on target, only 5 shots at target, 4 blocked. And you're thinking, 3 blocked, 1 on target. And you're thinking, they just found a way through the game plan and how they were going to get that shot in, and how they must have planned it, because it worked. So how do you think this is going to finish? Millwall, West Brom, 1-1, 2-1, 1-2, 1-0, 1-1. I think that both of these are a little bit up and down at the minute. I mean, I can't say West Brom really deserved that win. I'm going to have to go Millwall 1, West Brom 1, and we'll move on to Portsmouth versus Middlesbrough next. And Portsmouth, they started really well. They played some really good football, and then they started to play really awful football. after the Southampton game. The Southampton game was, a lot of people saw that as quite boring. Then you had the Sheffield Wednesday game. Lost 2-0 and they played dreadful. Then they played not so bad but still poorly against Ipswich, 2-1 defeat. Last time out 2-2, Portsmouth 2, Watford 2. They started to play a little bit better. They had a lot more possession, a brilliant passing football, nice flowing football. This was actually enjoyable to watch. However, they allowed Watford a few too many clear chances on goal, and they paid for it. And that's as simple as it is. 2-2 probably deserved to be 2-2, to be quite honest. Although Portsmouth fans will be a little aggrieved that defence couldn't just tighten up a little bit to make the most of the 2 goals at the other end. They're playing a Middlesbrough side who, though, are I'm going to Middlesbrough first and Portsmouth 17. I mean, they're first for a reason. 0 defeats this team, this Middlesbrough team. Can you see them losing away at Portsmouth? Not really. Win, draw, win, draw. Last time out, Stoke City. Borough 0, Stoke City 0. It was quite even, this game. It was quite even. Borough slightly better passing than Stokes. But they both got through each other's defence relatively easy. And they both managed to lay off a few shots, and several of them were on target. It was a good sort of top half game of football. Was it a team in the top 6? I don't think this game was neither of these teams looked like a good top 6 team. And that's about all I can say for the Middlesbrough game. It wasn't as good as what it has been for Middlesbrough. But neither has been the last 2 or 3 games. And they seem to be a little bit jaded for me. And I'm not quite sure how they can stay in that position. 3 draws, of which all 3 were in the last 4 games for Middlesbrough. So that does show you where they've only just started losing the points in the last 4 games, for heaven's sake. Will they continue? They may very well do. Portsmouth Borough, what are you thinking? 1-2, 1-0, 2-2, 0-1, 1-3. All the way, we've got both sides and draws in here. I'm going to go Portsmouth 2, Borough 2. Preston Charlton next, as we try and make it nice and quick for you. Do like and subscribe. Give your comments down below. Give me next week's predictions as well, as we go to Preston versus Charlton next. And Preston are in 7th. Charlton are in 9th. I think Preston 4 draws, Charlton 3. And the reason why I say that is Preston lose, draw, win, draw. 3 draws in the last 4, again like Borough. Now, Preston been playing brilliantly, and I even predicted a Leicester win for Preston, and I got the score right. So brilliant for me. But then I started saying, they can carry on. They seem to have got jaded and do tell me why. Usually injuries and fatigue, especially around this sort of part of the season. It'd take me too long to be, because I'm not paid for this by the channel. So I'd have to look for every single club in the Championship and League One of what your injuries are. I haven't got time to do that, but we will go through the statistics and how the games have been going. Hull City last time out, Hull 2, Preston 2. And Preston went into that 2-0 lead, and they must have thought that they were. When looking at it, I was thinking, yeah, they're gonna win this one. No need to look at that one. And Preston seemed to just sort of sit back a little bit, and we've got in the lead 2-0. And for me, Hull City were allowed back in it, and Ollie McBurney, don't give him space, please. Gave him two goals there, 48 and 74, and Hull City are back in it. look, Hull City were passing the ball better, and this is what's been wrong with the Preston side. They've not been passing it quite as good as what they have been doing in the first half. The passing seems to have got a lot more poor, certainly in the last 4, 5, 6 games, which is a bit of a shame because they had been doing really well for me. Losing it too often, not very good passers, inaccurate. Ahead, too hard, too soft, but not right. And you're thinking that's not the Preston we've been used to. So they're playing Charlton. Usually they've been really accurate. They were accurate and technical in League One. They took that into the first few games of the Championship. Lose, draw, win, draw. That last game, though, Derby County 1, Charlton 1. And it was Derby that were the technical team here. And Charlton didn't really... Now, I know Charlton are usually more technical at home for some strange reason. And they were away. And they are away in this game. But Charlton here at Derby just didn't quite... have that they weren't on top with the passing, they weren't on top with the technical abilities. Derby were always slightly on top for me in every sense of the game. More shots, although they were usually quite right or blocked by Charlton being behind the head of the ball, so they could have almost park the bus behind so that Derby couldn't get through. Running back to make sure they got more defenders back. Really good game for that, but it meant that they were constantly coming back to defend. 1-1 draw, probably the right way round. However, Derby probably would have been thinking, how the hell did we not win it? Preston Charlton, what are you thinking? 0-0, what? 0-3, 0-3, 2-1. I just can't get. There's too many draws in front of me, and I just can't get past a draw. I'm going to go Preston 0, Charlton 0. If Preston can get that passing back, I think they could win this one 2-0. But let's see what happens as we move to Swansea versus Leicester City. Swansea versus Leicester City then table. Swansea in 8th, Leicester City in 6th. And of those 4 draws that Leicester City have actually conceded this season, the last 4 games have been all draws. They've all been in the last 4 games, so they're similar to Middlesbrough. Really started to draw the games all of a sudden in the most recent game. So Swansea City, win, draw, win, lose, draw, win. They're all over the place, and the games have been all over the place. They have been at the beginning scoring really well. Here they scored pretty well indeed. 3 shots on target, 2 in the net. That's the sort of skill level we're seeing right at the beginning. And then recently it's disappeared, but it seemed to come back in this game. Blackburn 1, Swansea 2. 3 or 4 shots on at target, and as I remember, 2 shots in the goal. So actually it's still a very, very good ratio, isn't it? Blackburn, though, not quite get it. They had loads more shots, but they were just all over the place. Thinking about the technical side of it, they were both passing brilliantly. They were both having lots of possession in chunks, keeping the ball, passing it around in their own half. Really good. Did Swansea deserve the win? Blackburn would have been gutted they didn't get an equaliser. They had more shots. It's just that they didn't manage to get them on target. And Swansea were just that little bit more technical and managed to just convert a higher percentage of shots into goals in that one. And like I say, Leicester City were just brilliant, where they would win, and then the last 4 games draw. Oxford 2-2, Coventry 0-0, West Brom 1-1, Wrexham 1-1. And you look at the Wrexham there. I've been saying that Leicester have been shooting, but just they've been all over the place. And again, 16 shots for Leicester City. Yes, 1 on target, 1 in the net. Look, see the net, and they'll probably get it in the back of it. But 5 shots were just blasted against people and blocked and gone out. 9 of them were just into the local pigeons, and only 1 actually towards the goalkeeper. So Leicester have to do better than that, and Wrexham made them pay for it. Absolutely. 1 shot for on target for Wrexham, 1 in the net. So both had 1 shot on target and 1 in the net. What can we say? 9 shots for Wrexham at target, but I tell you what, there was 6 of those off target. So 2 blocks. So a good percentage of the ones that they're of those are actually on target or blocked. So you can't really complain too much if you're a Wrexham fan. They shouldn't have really drawn that game. They should have got beat at least 2 or 3-1, I think. However, it was 1-1. What are you saying for Swansea versus Leicester? 0-2, 0-2. 1-1, 1-2, 2-1. Will this downturn, this mental... So that's the side I'm interested in, the mental side of 4 draws in a row. Will we get 5 draws in a row? I'm going to play a joker. I'm going to go Swansea 2, Leicester City 1. Give me your comments down below. Don't just click the dislike. Just give me a comment down below. I'd much rather discuss it than you stop my video from going on, as I keep getting. So Watford versus Oxford next, and Watford in 16th, Oxford in 21st. Both have got 3 draws actually, which is interesting. Watford. Draw, lose, win, draw. Last time out against Portsmouth. Portsmouth 2, Watford 2. Portsmouth getting slightly better by the game here. They really did have a really awful dip, and they were playing dreadful football. But in the last 3 games, they've just gone from really dreadful to not bad. And in this game, they weren't too bad. They did control the game. They did have plenty of passing opportunities. They'll be gutted they didn't sneak a win here, but they just let Watford have too many clear shots on goal, clear sight on goal, and for me that's why Watford managed to get that 2-2 and probably deserved a 2-2, to be quite honest. Oxford United lose, draw, win, lose, draw, and of course they gave Sheffield United their first win, didn't they, which is dreadful. Fancy doing that. And they were well on top as well. They were absolutely ripping that game to pieces, and they lost it. And against QPR 0, Oxford 0, and all of a sudden a completely different Oxford team. No shots on target, 9 shots at target, and 2 of them blocked, and that was it for Oxford. It was all let's just try and play. They didn't even block. They didn't put 10 man behind the ball. Because they allowed QPR to have 13 shots, but only 1 of them on target. And they weren't even blocked. There were only 3 blocked shots by QPR. So they were literally just trying to get into position and just firing wide. And it's like, or high. And it's like, Oxford must have thought this was Christmas. They can play football in the middle of the pitch trying to get goals because it's 0-0. And QPR weren't making them pay for it. So, hey, they must have thought it was Christmas, I tell you. 0-0, and probably deservedly so by the QPR performance at least. So, what are you saying with that? Watford, Oxford, 1-0, 4-0, 0-2, 1-0 and 2-0. I think that Watford here, and being at home, they played reasonably well against Portsmouth, I must admit. And I just think that if Oxford did anything like they did with QPR, this team will not let them off. They will punish them for it. Watford 2, Oxford 0 will go to the final game, which is Ipswich versus Norwich. And where's that one? That was on Sunday. Sunday game. Ipswich versus Norwich. And the table is Ipswich in 13th with 4 draws and Norwich in 9th with 2. Ipswich for the last, with 4 draws, remember, in the last 6 games, draw, lose, draw, win, win, draw. So, you know, good percentage of draws in there. Last time out 1-1 with Bristol City. Bristol City won, Ipswich won. Like I said earlier, Ipswich will be wondering why they didn't manage to make possession in your own half does absolutely nothing, and that's what they did. They get great possession, great passing, great skill in their own half. They did manage to get into the opposition half, and they didn't manage to have a shot, but 15 shots, 3 on target, 7 off target, and 5 blocked. They were just, the goals there, hit it, woof. It doesn't matter if people are there or not. You've got to target the net. Now, how do I get that ball around those defenders and on target so that there's only the goalkeeper to beat? And that's not what Ipswich did, clearly. Bristol City, pretty much in the same bank, but they did more with the ball because they only had 36% possession at home. So they allowed Ipswich to have all that possession. And while you're keeping it in your own half, we don't care. So Bristol City managed to do more with the ball. 1-1. Was that about fair? I think that Ipswich will be going away the most gutted they didn't win it, but that's because they just didn't think when they were letting off those shots. Norwich City, like I said, I've been saying this team has been boring, awful, not very skillful. Ipswich fans, Ipswich team, you cracked it in this last game, and it was a brilliant game, and we'll go to it in a minute. Norwich City, lose, win, draw, lose. Why am I saying this defeat was a great game for Norwich? Norwich City 0, West Brom 1. And I know that West Brom had 1 shot on target, 1 in the net. They won it. They deserved it. Right? No. You see, this Norwich City side played some stonking football. They passed it brilliantly. They kept it well. On the whole, their challenges were good. Their skill was... They were just better in all aspects of the game. 3 or 4 times as many shots at target. 4, 5, 6 as many shots on target. And you're thinking, this side surely should have got at least one of those in the net. This is a great performance by Norwich. It's just how the hell did it not go in the net? West Brom goalkeeper, full stop. And you know, I will say 1 or 2 refereeing puzzling moments in the game as a whole. So, you know, we have to be a little bit careful. This was a really good game for Norwich, and I was really, for once, I was really surprised they didn't win it. I'm quite shocked. So, yeah, they're playing better than their results actually showing. So people here are thinking, oh, Ipswich 2 wins out of 3. They've won their last. They've not got it's 4 games without a defeat, and they must be better than 2 defeats in 3 for Norwich. Well, I can see where people might think that Ipswich would win this. What are you thinking? 1-2, 2-2, 0-1, 1-2, 4-1. So there are people. There's one person there thinking 4-1 to Ipswich. I can see why you're thinking it. Absolutely see why you're thinking it. But I think you're wrong. I can see why people think Norwich City will win it, but I think the mental side of the Ipswich, perhaps Ipswich may underestimate Norwich here, and that would be a very, very bad thing to do. That would certainly let a side like Norwich in, probably for a 2-0 win. I think I'm going to go with the last game here, Ipswich 2, Norwich 2. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next prediction video. Remember, John Esser Sports Channel, like and subscribe.